Hey there everybody, I'm Trudy, One Grounded Angel, as many of you know me. I'm here to talk to you about the cards that are coming up for this week, starting the 31st of August through to the 6th of September. Can you believe? So I use what I call oracle cards. They are not designed to predict the future, which no one can do in my opinion. I believe we make our own future, guided by the universe, but with us really steering the ship. And the cards are really here to give us some insights into what sort of things we need to be thinking about, and where we're getting stuck. That's something that comes up a lot. We have a kind of a major event happening this Wednesday. It is a full moon in Pisces. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, so it has a bit of a heightened intensity. It's also a very emotional sign. It's a very creative, imaginative sign, very dreamy. It's also a sign of deep compassion, and is also about letting go. So if you think about what that means, a full moon is also about letting go and reaching a culmination. We're in September, number 9 month. That is the number all about, you know, getting some big insights and letting go, releasing, among other things, but I'm just trying to keep this a little bit brief at the moment. So if you put all those things together, some of us might be having some very emotional experiences building up to this full moon and hopefully diminishing in the wake of it, but the energy can still hang around. You might be feeling really imaginative. You might be, if you're creatively minded, you might be getting some great insights about things to create. You might be having some intense dreams. Remember, with dreams, try not to take them literally. My advice is to look for the symbols. For example, if you're in a car or some mode of transport, it's generally about the way you're traveling through life. So if you're in a car that is out of control, you might like to think about, or someone else is at the wheel, have you handed over your power to someone else? Are you being reckless instead of being really mindful of where you are right now, where you want to go? Compassion can be a big one. And Pisces is also big about forgiveness. And I have mixed feelings about the idea of forgiveness, as many of you know, because I feel it often puts the burden on the other people instead of, on the person who's been wronged, rather than on the wrongdoer, so to speak, which isn't particularly helpful. And I think it often is a way that we rush to make peace with something without actually sitting with what's going on. Oh, I forgive you, I want to move on. Sometimes we actually need to sit with what's going on. So perhaps if you're feeling really emotional, is this around something that's happened to you that you really haven't made peace with? Is something coming up around making peace and reaching acceptance, owning your side of the street, and learning the lessons so you can move on? Remember, the best way out is always through, as uncomfortable as that is. The other thing I should say is Pisces is a very watery, flowy kind of sign. So that's in big contrast to the energy of Virgo, which the sun is in right now. Remember, in the full moon, they're completely, they're very close together, I should say. So there's a little bit of a clash going on here. So Virgo is all about micromanaging, putting things in their place, planning. I'm exaggerating here. I'm making it sound bad. It's actually not. It can be very helpful to bring order to the world, but here's this beautiful, in contrast, this beautiful flowy energy that might be triggering for you. And maybe this is telling you where you need to surrender, where you need to put in some order, where you are trying to control things that you cannot control. Big, I know. Let's start with Monday. So I shuffle the cards until the card that is most appropriate jumps out. Sometimes it does a thing like that where it just flips over as I'm shuffling, and sometimes I just get a message to stop. So here's Monday's card. It's called Flying Free. Sorry, I'm articulating myself very well today. As you can see, there's a beautiful bird here. Birds are symbols of freedom, and so that's one of the messages to take from this. If you think about what I just said before about that full moon energy, which is already building, maybe you're already feeling it. This may be around setting yourself free by releasing yourself from some of the things you've been carrying, the burdens of trying to keep tight control over everything and everyone, or the burden of trying to hold on to a grudge instead of maybe figuring out a way to live with what happened, not just stuff it down. The word freedom, I might be going off on a slight tangent here, but the word freedom in the relationship card deck comes up for people who have given away their power in a relationship, essentially. And that happens whether you're single or or you're in a relationship. So you might have put yourself into a box and you've let the other person make all the decisions and you haven't expressed what you actually want, or gone after that, and maybe that's why you're feeling trapped. And the card around freedom there is about setting yourself free, not literally necessarily, but around stepping into your power. The reason that you feel stuck is because you've allowed yourself to be stuck. And if you're single, sometimes we let ourselves get stuck by letting society box us into, oh, you have to be sad and lonely and really miserable now. And actually, it's not really what being single necessarily has to be. So making sure you set yourself free from ideals, from other people's influences, that's a big one. And around blaming other people. Sometimes we also blame the universe. And I've done this, believe me, for putting ourselves in situations instead of owning where we're actually, at least partly culpable for where we're at. So Tuesday's card is a beautiful, reassuring one. The angel here is called Crystal. This is all about giving us some comfort. It says, have faith and hope because there is something positive and new on the horizon that you can't yet see. I talk about that a lot, that idea of what's out there beyond what we can see, because we get a little bit arrogant and think we know what's going to happen. Oh, people like me never find love, or people like me never get jobs like that, or whatever it is. And we have to remember that we can only ever see this much of the puzzle, and the angels can see all of this other range that we're not being shown just yet. And so the challenge for us is to believe in what we cannot yet see. Believe that things can get better, and they will. You still have to play your part in that, of course. Nothing happens on its own, but it starts with actually having hope that you can get to that point, instead of sometimes we go into a point of giving up hope, because at least that can be a very bleak place, but at least we know what's going to happen. We're not running the risk of being disappointed. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. Wednesday's card here is patience. This is never not relevant. And I suppose similar to that Tuesday's card, because it reminds us that the universe is playing a long game here. And we're needing to play a long game too. We need to remember that nothing happens overnight. It's particularly nothing worth having. We have to be consistently showing up, doing the work, and really helping things along. It's easy to give up when things aren't going so great, but the challenge is to keep showing up in spite of how things are going for you. So really have some patience. Remember, this is not the end of your story yet. Keep going. We've had a lot of messages around that lately. I think it was Saturday we had a card around that. Sorry, all the days start to blend into one. I don't know if that's a pandemic thing or whether it's just that I'm dealing with so many cards so often. Maybe it's a combination of both. So here we have Thursday's card, cancel, clear, delete. I call this the Control Alt Delete card. And what it means is it's about your mindset. If you are starting to spiral into a negative thought spiral, get yourself out of it. You have a degree of control over your thoughts. I know that is hard sometimes. We feel like we're just being jerked around by all these different thoughts and we don't have any say in it. But this is asking you to take control. It's okay to feel what you feel, to think what you think, but what you need to do is make sure those don't start to compound, and that's when they start to drag you down. You can go from a place of, oh, that hasn't worked out for me, to, oh, I screwed it up, I'm a failure, nothing ever works out for me, there's no point trying, and all that sort of, you can see how I just accelerated that. I do it too. So we're human. I'm not saying don't do that or there's something wrong with you if you're doing that. I'm just saying notice when it's happening, and circumvent that. Trying to say the things to yourself that a friend would say to you. It's going to be okay. Sometimes that's not automatically helpful, I must say, because we find it hard, as I touched on earlier, to believe in things we can't see. But things like, this is just one day, it's not the rest of your life, or just trying to distract yourself in healthy ways, exercise, definitely being around nature can be amazing. Meditation, I know not everybody's cup of tea, but can be a really great way to get better at noticing your thoughts rather than letting your thoughts, control you quite so much, because thoughts lead to feelings. So we really, there is value in noticing where our thoughts are taking us. That's a hard thing to do, but it does get easier, and you're not going to be able to do it all the time. As I say, the key for me is just noticing when they're really compounding, when you're starting to actually beat yourself up instead of, holding your own hand. So I forgot to say, the Control-Alt-Delete part, or the Control-Clear-Delete part, is something you can say energetically, because our thoughts do contribute. I'm not saying they're going to be all and end all, but they certainly contribute to what we start to attract in our lives. So if you notice you're getting into that really darker place, this can cancel out the energy attached to what you're thinking. Cancel, clear, delete. I do this when I find myself gossiping about someone or thinking something really unfair about them, which we all do, even evolved people. So just cancelling out the energy and just really, it kind of just shortcuts me back onto a more harmonious track. Cancel, clear, delete, Control, Alt, delete. Or even if you find yourself looking in the mirror and thinking something really negative about yourself, just cancelling out the energy around that. So Friday, am I on Friday? Yes, I am on Friday. I don't think this is the right card deck. I'm going to jump to this one. Course correct. And right away, sorry about that, I live in a port city, or a small city, and some of the ferries, shipping stuff, they make loud noises. There's no way to predict when that's going to happen, so I'm really sorry if you heard that. Friday's card here is look deeper, and you might be able to see that she's looking at a pond, putting her hand on the surface. There's always a surface level and something much, much deeper going on. So this card can be coming up to remind you not to take things at face value. Ask more questions, do more research, don't rush into anything, and really look at what might be going on under the surface. If it's something to do with you personally, you might be looking at, has this happened to me before? Am I reacting to this person because they remind me of a situation I've been in before? Or they remind me of a person I used to know that I'm still, not quite at peace with. Is there something coming up for me because I've got more work to do? This can be really hard if you've been working on something and you're like, how is this still an issue for me? Here it goes again. But remember, there are often deeper layers, and sometimes we can only clear one layer at a time. So if something's coming up for you again, it doesn't mean you've regressed. It just means there's something deeper that you need to get to now. So really looking at what's going on underneath. You might like to see someone to help you with that, obviously I would say energy healer, because that's what I do. And remember that you don't have to see someone in your own town. We have Zoom. Energy healing is very easy to do over Zoom and over the phone, because your energy doesn't stay next to you. It's very easy to tap into. It's not constrained by geography, let me put it like that. You might like to see a counsellor, a coach, anything like that, because sometimes it's very difficult to notice our own stuff, and we need someone who's that little bit more objective to say, yeah, this sounds like what you were describing when you went through that breakup or whatever it is. And I'm an energy healer, and I see an energy healer, because even I can't see my own stuff. So you definitely need another voice often, I would say. Saturday's card, we have Law of Attraction. I'm noticing a lot of greens in the cards we've had so far, which is very appropriate in Virgo season, because it is a very nature-based sign, and it's maybe a good reminder for us to get back to nature and reconnect with that. I think I'm going to go for a walk later. Anyway, Law of Attraction, this is all about how we attract what we predominantly focus on. If you have the odd stray thought, that's not serving you, please don't worry about that and think, oh, there's no point trying. We all have unhelpful thoughts, and you can cancel them, as I mentioned. But this is all about noticing, where is your mind going the majority of the time? Is it going to a place of, a place of giving up? Nothing ever works out for me, that sort of thing. Is it going to a place of talking yourself out of doing the things you want to do in order to keep you safe? That might be something to think about as well. Now, I know the Law of Attraction has been popularized as some sort of magic command where you just put a thought out to the universe and then it just appears in front of you. And I'm very sorry to tell you, it is not that simple. There are a lot of other factors playing into that interaction, and one of the main things would be the work you do yourself. We need to be able to do the work. The universe is not Uber Eats. You can't just put in an order and wait for something. You need to be working towards it. Remember, the universe responds to action. So yes, mindset, very important, but it's also about what you do. And part of that work is around getting rid of the barriers that are showing up, that are blocking you, fear predominantly. So if you are using the law of attraction, just be mindful of that. I don't want to discourage anyone from doing it, but I know for me personally, I got really discouraged when I found it was not quite as simple as what it was popularized to be. So be aware of that. And it's sometimes people will say, do I need to just keep visualizing it? Am I not visualizing enough? And I would say you don't need to keep coming back to that vision time and time again if that's not comfortable for you. I would say just trying to get more clear on how am I going to get there and doing the work that way. And the universe will find a way to get you there as well, and sometimes in ways you didn't expect. But we still need to be having a plan within ourselves to get there. The universe is not going to write your book for you. You need to show up consistently and do the work. Sunday's card echoes everything I said. This is such a Virgo-esque energy. Rhiannon, sorceress. I've said this before, but I always think of the Rhiannons, the Fleetwood Mac song, when I see this. We had this consistently, I think about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was coming up. It's a big energy around, well, magic, really, everyday magic, the magic that we have to help change our lives. I talked before about that freedom, about setting ourselves free. And one of the ways we can do this is by getting in the driver's seat of our own lives. What do you want? Sometimes I ask them that question, they will start to talk about all the things they don't want instead of what they actually do want. And for a lot of people, they haven't really been taught that they're allowed to do that. They've been taught that's arrogant or entitled or something like that. So sometimes just giving yourself permission to go, what sort of life do I actually want to create, can be part of it. Sometimes people are so attached to what other people think or what they have to be to other people, their roles, mother, father, wife, husband, employee, boss, whatever. They've forgot about the stuff that is really not defined by relationships or roles, the things that are just purely about what they want. And that might be passions, things you're passionate about, things you want to do. I know this is hard, and many of you are still in lockdown. Some of you have a bit more freedom in terms of restrictions, but perhaps are confined by other factors. So sometimes it's just about getting the ball rolling, even if we can't take action just yet. So I think setting ourselves free is a big theme this week. You might like to think of that as, I'm reluctant to use the word victim mentality because a lot of people are very opposed to hearing that. But sometimes being a victim or feeling like the world is against you, which I've done many times in my life, is a very comfortable place to be because you don't have to do anything. You can blame someone else, you don't have to make the changes. So if that's coming up for you, that might be something to think about. I think mindset is huge this week as well. Focusing on our thoughts, what are our thoughts attracting? Excuse me, that sort of thing. So yeah, a lot of things to think about this week. Might be a bit rough with that full moon energy. Some people don't feel anything at all, and that's okay. But just be really gentle with yourself. And remember, nature, Virgo nature, very helpful right now. Being around things that are living is really calming in ways that we can't quite put our rational brains around. Now, if you want to book a personal reading with me, the best way to do that is via my website, www.onegroundedangel.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram. Each card goes up each morning. @OneGroundedAngel is my handle. And you can also email me, onegroundedangel@gmail.com. Please be aware I cannot offer personal guidance outside a session. So if you're wanting personal guidance, best thing to do is to book in a session. And as I said earlier, I work over Zoom. So it doesn't matter where in the world you live. Time zones are totally workaroundable. Thanks everybody for watching this and have a fantastic week.